Well, we had a big day yesterday, didn't we? And today I think might be, I don't know if it's going to be a big day, but I think it might be a substantial day. Let me say that. Yesterday there was another TMZ ransom note that came in. There are different little points with that. I'm going to say, and many of you have told me, you know what, AI can write a ransom note. Absolutely. AI can also write many other things too. But in this particular case, someone is getting serious. Now, they said that they wanted to work with another type of Bitcoin. That other type of Bitcoin is called Monero, Monero. It is a type of Bitcoin, digital commerce, I'm going to call it that is very, very hard to trace. The FBI can do it, but it's very hard to trace, and that's why they're asking. I do not believe that they gave a wallet with that because there has to be some type of cold storage, has to be a cold wallet. Believe me, it is very, yeah. I have clients that deal in that sort of thing, and I wouldn't touch it. It's too volatile. But there are some elements here, and the hype was yesterday, all of a sudden, I don't know if you noticed this, but the sheriff said there were polygraphs being taken at the sheriff's office. I don't know if it was the sheriff. Somebody said that. I don't think it was the sheriff. Somebody said there were polygraphs being taken. People were racing to the sheriff's office to see who did it, and then the sheriff said, "Oh no, this is just for new hires." Now, I don't think so. But it is what it is. Why would you anyway? And then all of a sudden the hype came of, well, now we're looking in Mexico. Now, this could have come from the FBI, but whomever it came from doesn't matter. There's been a handshake with Mexico. But today I want to look into that. But before we get started, let's log in today. Let's log in our marker and see exactly. And you can see we've been keeping track. We've been keeping a good log right here. And, the word that I heard from Nancy, I'm going to put down here Nancy. I heard that from Nancy. Was hesitation. Hesitation. And boy, there has been. So let's get to the point now where we can log in. So yesterday were polygraphs, a TMZ, another ransom note, and then there's Mexico. I come to question at that one. All right, so today, my friends, we are on day 19. It is February, and I have a little treat for some of you too. 19, and it is 2026. It is Thursday. And the time is, let me check real quick, 12:28 on the button. Okay. And we're going to see what comes up today. But before we do, let's go to the Big Book of Bull. How's that? Here we go. Here's the Big Book of Bull. We'll pull that out. So yesterday, we're gonna say this, the 18th of February, 2026. Yeah, I get to writing so fast, it becomes like a doctor scribble. And we had the polygraphs. And they were still talking about the clearing of family. We may have more to add on that. We're just going to keep adding. That's the way the Big Book of Bull goes. Thank you very much. All right. So I've got some other things that I want to discuss with you. First of all, it is my understanding that there were several internet searches that were done on Nancy Guthrie and Savannah Guthrie. Nancy, someone was looking up her address. Now, we know how that is. You can look up just about anybody right now. It's on the internet. You can look up anybody. But there were several things. They were looking for financials, and then they were looking up how much Savannah made per year, how much she was worth. Now, people do that. That's a normal thing. I get that search too. Everybody gets that search. But these searches started happening in December and in January. And it came specifically from a location in Tucson. Someone was stalking this out. And that's why they wanted to go back and look at cell phones. I think one of the particular dates was January 11th. And this is why they were looking back at cell phones, at other types of devices and so forth. This is scary. I want you to know. And I also want you to know, first of all, I appreciate you going over to my husband's channel and showing so much love. He and I, from the beginning, 2 years ago, decided we were going to keep that part of our lives private. We tell as much as needs to be. He's only on the internet, on YouTube, because of me. Seriously. He doesn't need it, and he doesn't mess with it, but he does it for me. But this is why you don't see him, and I make an avatar to represent him, and the avatar looks like him. But this is why we do this, and this is why we keep very, very private. We're not going to show his home, our home, I guess now. We're not going to show my home. We're not going to show a lot of those things. I can show interior. I draw out a lot of interior, but I'm going to be frank with you. I don't embellish. I leave things out. And it's for this reason. Because he travels a lot and he does a lot of business. And that's why. Because this is exactly the type of thing people get on here and people search. And frankly, I'm going to tell you, there was a little something that we got very concerned about a couple of months ago. And it was someone who surfaced that knew him in Europe. And it became a thing. And it wasn't negative, but it's kind of scary. Because then they came over to my channel and was looking. And then they went over to my sister channel, Fate and Fortune, and was looking. And then they, and you know what? It's actually normal. People get curious and it's normal. But, there's a lot of people that want to go to our home in Europe. There's a lot of people that want to know. They want to see. I get it. I get it. But that's all we can do. Because it is frightening. Now, the other thing, and thank you for all of that, and thank you for understanding. Now, the other thing is that it's been reported that Savannah, that on Sunday afternoon, called one of the representatives for Arizona, Mark Kelly. I guess he lives about 5 miles from Nancy. And Mark Kelly called the sheriff's department and called the FBI and wanted to make sure that everything was on track and going the way it needed to be and all this. So, okay, so she had, she is a celebrity. She has those contacts. And he and his wife live in Tucson. So, okay. But there's still something very sus here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And you can believe that phone call conversation continued last night for another couple of hours that Lord Gregor and I had, because I am so sus, and I know that you are too. Okay, let's get into this, my darlings. I have a little treat for you today, but first of all, we're going to do some numerology. You see, there's the map that we started out with. This is where Nancy resided. This is what I marked because at that time I did not know her address, and that was the 3rd of February. And just like I want to say, that fellow Carlos that they picked up this past weekend, and they were doing the DoorDash, and they, got him out of the car, and they broke into the house and everything else. He and his family are devastated. And not only that, there are people roaming around his house. Let's see. They'll probably move. The kids are afraid to go to school. And you see how these things can affect people. So I'm just going to say, I know you're here because you're kind and respectful, but there are those out there that are not. So be careful. Don't post pictures of your kids and your grandkids. Do it very seldom on social media. Don't put pictures. I don't show my son. You may hear his voice. I don't show him, and I won't. Some of you see him. Some of you have seen him and pictures of him. But I want the privacy. I don't show the rest of my family. And all of you should do that too. Be careful. Don't take pictures of your home and show your house numbers, because it's very easy to find you. Okay, so that is Nancy's house, and here I am, right? Hello, oxymoron, but it is in the news, and I'm not doing anything. I'm not taking someone out of context. All right, so here's where we are today. Here's where we are. I ran a probability search on numerology for Mexico versus a distraction. So we start out here with the address of Nancy, 5820 North Camino Escalante. We start at the root. We always have to start at the foundation. That reduces, when you add up this number, it all comes to 15. And then we call it reducing. You just add the 1 plus 5 together and it comes to 6. That 6 energy is a frequency of home and family. When this intruder came in, they violated that space. They violated the 6 energy. And that's why this home is vibrating. And we got the words that we did the other day. For an 84-year-old woman to be moved from a 6 frequency all the way to Mexico, which is about 74.6 or 0.9 miles, without a single trail of residual energy or physical sighting, is a very massive mathematical anomaly. But today we've got some planets that are chiming in. We have Mercury, because it's starting to move into a phase where it will go retrograde. And Mercury is communication. It is the furthest point from the sun. And there's a meeting now between Neptune, Saturn, and the crescent moon. And the Neptune effect that we have is illusions, fog, and a screen. And this is the astrological reason for the Mexico hype. I'm going to call it that. Mexico hype. Now, the Neptune is casting a shadow that makes everyone look toward the horizon. You see, did you see that happened yesterday? It was like somebody said Mexico, and it was like everybody just dropped everything and all eyes were on the border. I think that's the way they wanted it. They did that instead of the ground in Tucson. I can't see someone in Tucson doing all these internet Google searches and scoping out Nancy, where her home is, all this other. I don't think these are big professionals. I'm just going to tell you this. But I think that they know enough to be, that this should be scary. And I think they're desperate. And when people are desperate, that's when they become dangerous. So the Moon-Saturn lock, okay, because we've got Saturn playing around in here. This alignment in the evening sky creates a restriction. It suggests that Nancy is in a place of confinement because Saturn is a planet, of confinement. And also that is hidden by water because Neptune is a water planet, or shadow Neptune. This matches the chamber and the waters that we saw a couple of days ago in the hits that we got from the house, that we've been tracking this. Now here's the probability chart, my darlings, and you may have to do this to your screen. No, I'll hold it up. I'll hold up. The Mexico as a distraction probability is 84% based on my calculations. Because the sun energy of day 19, and you're going to see a 1 there. This is what we do. 19 equals 1 plus, it equals 10, right? Okay. Now we reduce that. I go too fast. I want to make sure that, because I know that some of you want to follow through with this. So then we do 1 plus 0 equals 1. That's where that comes through. So it's a sun energy of today, and it reveals the Mexico hype. It is a Neptune-driven illusion. It buys the perpetrator time and forces the FBI to look at a 100-mile border instead of a 13-mile vector. Nancy in Mexico probability is 16%. While the FBI is in, I'm not going to try to butcher that. You all gave me a lesson yesterday in Ajo, right? So I'm not going to try this. Hermosillo, I don't know if that's right. But anyway, the logistics of the 19-day professional crossing border hold for an 84-year-old are statistics, right, are saying it's improbable compared to a local chamber where most likely she's being held. The TMZ note credibility is 91% because the note to Harvey Levin contained non-public details, Apple Watch, floodlights, etc. It is looked at in the numerology as being the truth. However, the note claiming that Nancy is in Mexico is a tactical lie from a participant who knows how Neptune blur works. So do I believe that the ransom note is real? Yes, I do. Do I believe there's another level of sophistication here because of the Monero? Many other people have other names for it, but that's what it is. The Bitcoin, that type of Bitcoin? Yes. Yes. Do I believe the ransom note is real? Yes. Do I believe that Nancy is in Mexico? Now, I could be wrong. I'm just going to say, but everything points to no. Here we go again. And I have to say this because I'm always so worried about boring you with all this research that is just turns me on. All right. Here's the strategy for today. We have the authority today to call this out as a Neptune fog. It is creating an illusion, the hype. And it says here, I put here the sheriff. I'm just gonna say all law enforcement agencies. Okay, is hyping Mexico because Mercury is at its furthest point and Neptune is blurring the lines. But let's look at the address. 5820 is a number 6 home. It's a grounded energy. The participant, that person who sent the note to TMZ to create the border illusion, but the math says she is in a Saturnian confinement, which is a chamber. I'm having difficulty talking today. I think I've been talking so much, it's like my jaw's getting a workout. Much closer than the 70-ish miles away, day 19 is the Sunday. It's time to stop looking at the horizon and start looking at the waters of the Southwest sinks. That means the water basins, the waters. Today is a Master 22. It's a Master Builder number, and it's building a case for a border rescue. But you watch, by late tonight, the Saturn moon lock will now change and most likely bring a grounding piece of evidence that pulls the search back to Pima County. We'll see if that happens. Now, here's a little something I want to show you, because many of you are like, Zelda, how do you do this? Zelda? Okay, Zelda's going to show you. Get ready. Here we go. To get that 22-4 Master Builder frequency, I use a standard reduction method, and this is what I use in forensic numerology, but with a special rule for master numbers. In numerology, we usually add every single digit until we get a number between 1 and 9. However, 11, 22, and 33, now, I'm just going to even say it, 44 as well, are master numbers, and they are highly charged. And so much so that we have to stop reducing them as soon as we hit them. So it is 11, 22, and 33. So the math for today, my darlings, is this. You break it down. We're using February 19th of 2026. You break it down. Month of February is a number 2. The day, we had to break that down. 1 plus 9, because it's a 19. 1 plus 9 equals 10. We break that down to 1. And then the year, adding that together, is a 10 and it's a 1. Now we add all of those reduced parts together. So we add the 2, the 1, and the 1. And that comes up to the 4. Okay? Now here's where we got the 22 from. We calculate the global day. That is the energy affecting the whole world today. Many practitioners use the linear addition to see if a master number is hidden in the foundation. This is how we do it, okay? You take the 2, which is the month, the day, which is the 19, and the 26. Then we break that down. You see, we separate it all. 2, 1, 9, 0, 2, 6 is 22. Because we hit 22 exactly, we don't reduce the number 4 immediately. We write it as a 22 over 4. That's how it works. What this actually means, the 22 over 4, it's a slash is the bridge, okay? So this, I call it an over, but it's a bridge. The 22 is the high part of the vision, the altitude vision, which is, now, this doesn't always, it just is pointing to this case, okay? So this 22 is pointing to the FBI international dragnets. Every time I hear dragnet, somebody said something about drag, and I seriously heard that theme music in my head. The hype. So it is the FBI, the international dragnets, which is the hype. And the 4 is a ground level reality. The specific address, the physical chambers, the concrete evidence. So here we go. The number energy and how it applies to Nancy. The 22 is a master builder, building a massive international border narrative. The 4, the foundation, the search for a physical boxed-in location like a vault or a cell. Okay? Now here's a little song. Based on some more little things. The 22 bridge, the 22-4 bridge, is the most powerful there is. The 22 is often called the most powerful number in numerology because it takes spiritual intuition. And it takes it of the number 11. So a master number, 11, 22, 33, 44. But you're going to see most likely 11, 22, 33. And grounds it in the physical discipline of the 4. So how do we do that? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. We don't technically add those together, but it forms that bridge so you can know exactly where the numbers are taking you. So that's why I wrote this down. The 22 is the hype. That's the FBI, the dragnet, right? The number 4 is very real and can be a legal trap. Think of it as 22 is the big net. What is a big net? Well, many times it's the big fish going after the little fish so they can get the medium fish. That's how it works. Because truthfully, the big fish, and this would be FBI, law enforcement, going after the little fish would be maybe that guy that came up to the Ring camera, because I believe there's a go-between in between, the mastermind. And when you get the little fish never like to be in trouble. And they'll sing like canaries, and they'll turn over the medium-sized fish. You see what I mean? At this point, it's fish or cut bait. And the 4 is the solid cage. This is what I want you to look at. And when I do a numerology, I've done them for many of you. And no, I don't do the forensic ones. They're based on life path, what your focus is, what your years are, that sort of thing. When a number 4 comes up like this, I write this down just like this, okay? Let me see if I can. Yeah, I think you can see this. When you look down on top of this, you can look at it as a foundation. And that's why it talks about a confinement, a foundation. Now, here's the great thing. If you want to get, a little creative with the number 4, you can always build your foundation with a couple of trusses. And that will make it stronger. And you know what that did? Because 6 is the home energy of Nancy. Where do we get 6 from? Well, the 6 comes from the 5820. I just added 2 lines on top of my foundation, and now that is 6. You see how numbers do not lie. So I hope that helps many of you figure out how I do this. And I'm glad that you ask. I'm glad that you ask because I love to share this because numbers don't lie, and neither does energy. All right, so now we have written down everything. We've got the big book of Bull, and now, my darlings, here comes the sun. I just heard that song. This is a map that I've printed out from Catalina Foothills. This is where Nancy's home is located. You can see there's a lot of little landmarks around here. And you know what? I'm holding my pendulum like this, and both ends are going. Do you see that? Both ends are going. And yes, you can use a smaller end of your pendulum if you are doing smaller work. In fact, today we'll do that. All right. This represents the route 19, and today is the 19th. You see what I mean? No coincidence. It is by car 1 hour and 19 minutes. Do we see how this is working up? Do we see this? Yes. And 74.6 miles. That comes to a number 17. When you reduce it, it becomes a number 8. So what happens when you're going from a number 8 to a number 9? Or let's just take it back a minute. That is a 17, and you're going to the 19. I'm just doing it for example. You've got a missing link. Got a missing link. And that's what I feel here. So now we're coming down here. And for all of you Arizonians, bless you for helping me, because I've been to Arizona one time and I was passing through. So I don't know the lay of the land. So I appreciate you with all of the pronunciations and everything. Thank you. I know why you're here. You're helping me, believe me. So this comes right down here to the border. Now, I did a little bit of research on the border down here today. I'm going to call it FBI mode. When anything like this happens and anything is reported, I don't know when the border went into FBI mode, but they have the ability to hype up cameras and detectors and all kinds of things for people trying to come in. And the fact that Nancy's got a pacemaker, I'm trying to find out if that would trip off any type of other device. Probably not, because they'd be going wild, most likely, with people coming in and out with that type of thing. But let's just say, let's think about this logically. We are 84 years old. We are injured or taken from our home in the early mornings of February 1. Taken from our home. We're bleeding. We don't have our cane. We can't walk, but perhaps 50 feet at a time without needing to rest. I don't have my phone. I have a pacemaker. I don't have my meds. I'm tired. I've had a full night. Give me a second. Gotta have a little water. I come in. I want to rest, change my clothes, knuckle in, get cozy, watch a little TV, brush my teeth, put my jammies on, and get ready for bed. Now, I believe that Nancy walked into something. And I don't know what horror she faced. Think about this. You can't fight anybody off. So then somebody has the brightest brands of ideas to say, oh, well, let's just get her in the car and take her to Mexico. I don't think so. Because going this length with a woman who may have been in her jammies, they may have allowed her to change her clothes, we don't know. But going that, no medicine, unless they got some to begin with, and that might have been in the backpack. And I'm sure they're checking pharmaceutical companies, and they're checking all this other. I'm positive that they are. Think about this. So then you get in a car. So, okay, so now you don't want to go here. But there are other entry points through rough terrain. Could Nancy handle that in the early mornings? I mean, think about it. You got an older woman. She may need to go to the bathroom. What are you going to do? You're not going to allow her to go to the bathroom in your vehicle unless you have provisions for that. You see, that those are things that I have learned from my buddies in the past with law enforcement. That when you speculate, and yes, everyone should speculate and say, what if? Because that's where this probability, where is this? This is where this probability numerology comes into play. What is the probability of all this? All right, so now we're going to ask, now that I got all this, Zelda, I'm going to show you the small end. I'm going to hold the larger end today. I'm going to show you the small end. And I'm also going to show you, because people are like, oh, you're moving your hand. Now this one's way lighter, you see? And you see when I want it to move, you see what happens? You see what happens if I want it to move? So, no accusatory things like that, please. All right, so here we are. And I think you can see it. I'm going to hold it like this because I've got the energy in the palm of my hand. Oh, I like that. All right, so here we are. We're going to start out at Nancy's home. And it's picking up the energy right here. And yes, I have cleared the energy off of all the tools and so forth. We've cleared the energy here. All right. Now, Pendulum, I'm going to run you through this blue line, and this is the map. This is the route. You see how still it got all of a sudden? This is the route that, and look at the pendulum pulling. It's pulling back up here. So just remember now, I'm going to ask some questions. Is Nancy, no, first of all, Pendulum, show us your yes answer. I just moved my, show us your yes, which is this. It is clockwise. All right, you may be still. Now show us your no answer. Which is counterclockwise. Gotta give it a little time. Switching gears, and it's lighter, so it's not as easy. We'll do it this way so you can see it. I just want you to see it. Okay, so please give us your no answer. Okay, there we go. Now, Pendy, yes, I have the name. Look at it. Do you see it swinging? Pendy. Whoa. And you should feel the tug. And the only way, and I'm going to tell you, I can feel this in the palm of my hand. It's almost like it's not like my hand is pulsing. It is like the pendulum energy pulse. Okay. Sorry, Pendulum, I'm just going crazy. All right, here we are. So, Pendulum, do you believe that is Nancy in Mexico? And the answer is no. That's a big no. Okay. Show us, Pendy, where Nancy currently is. Where is Nancy? Now I'm going to move over this map. Ooh, I can feel it in my palm. I'm going to move over this map. And you see how it's pulling in the one direction? You can literally feel an energy pull like this. All right. So take us there, Pendley. Take us to where Nancy is. I'm going to put it down here. And you see how that's pushing back up here? Here we are. So show us where Nancy is on this map. It is still going down here. And look how it stopped when I started to move. Okay, let me get a larger map. We had one yesterday, and we're going to have one today. We're going to mark it. So there we go. Now I'm going to mark this map. '26. I had to think there for a minute, guys. Okay. As of this date, no Mexico. Okay. This was from the 15th of February. This is where Nancy, and I'm going to make a little arrow here so you all know. Nancy's home. Okay. So now I'm going to use the heavier end because it is bigger. Put this in the palm of my hand is what I like to do. All right. So now, Pendy, you see we're going to start over here at Nancy's home. Show us where Nancy is. I'm going to take you down here. Show us where Nancy is. Okay. Is she, I'm going to move it this way so you can see. As I'm moving my arm, my darlings. Okay, so Nancy's, no, Nancy's not up there. Okay. This is Nancy's home. She's not at home right now. So show us now, connect with her frequency and her energy, and show us where she is. Is she in Mexico? No, is pushing back over here. And there we go again. Let me hold this so you can see. Is Nancy, where is Nancy right now? It is showing right here in this area, right here. So I'm going to mark it on here today is 19 to 26. All right, my darlings, let's get some cards out. Where is Nancy? That's my question. We're going to put the penny here with the hand of fate with the key from my sweetheart, and I'll be right back. Here we are back again. Welcome. Thank you so much for waiting on me. I have 4 decks of cards. Some of these you've seen before, maybe some of you haven't. This is the hidden deck. I'm going to show you the box. That's the bicycle hidden. You can get these at your local pharmacy. They may have them. You can order them online. I used to carry them in the shop, and you know what? By the time I bought them and then shipped them out, it was just too costly for you. So there we go. Pardon me. This is the box that goes with this deck. It is the Rider-Waite playing card. It is a combination of tarot and playing cards. This is the Grand Tableau Lenormand Oracle deck. The back of the box looks like this. I like these images. And then this is a Piotnik. This is so old, I no longer have the box. But these are 36 cards written in 6 different languages. And now we're going to start asking questions. The questions cards. Is Nancy in Mexico? In fact, I'm going to do this. And there's two of the men that took her. Bottom of the deck. So funny because this card is all about borders. I'm going to get this so you see my arm and hands in this video constantly. This card right here is all about borders. Building a border. Opening doors. Fire element. And especially creativity. It also shows the varying degrees of what you have to go through in order to build this border. Now, I don't believe the Mexico border is what we're dealing with. I believe we have this chamber fortress border that is holding Nancy. The Fool. Basically, not really starting over, but starting an additional pathway. So, frankly, I feel that whoever these participants are, these two and the woman, are sitting back and kind of laughing because they're the puppeteers right now. So this card, very interesting, because it says it says Tucson is the area that this person is from, but you see this little knapsack this fellow has here. There's an image on there so small, but that image is of a phoenix rising from the ashes. So could there be a phoenix connection? Do not be surprised if you hear that starting today. Taking another direction, taking another path, wiping the slate clean, and you see the 0 up there. That's actually considered to be a null, which is Null, because it's wiping the slate clean. And that's why the sun is white up here. So this person has figured things out. You see, she has come, and these are the 3 perps as far as I'm concerned. They've taken the plan. This is a woman and 2 men. And you see here, this is the mastermind couple, and this is the guy who's the worker bee, the wannabe worker bee. He is considered to be a mason, that's what you call when you are a bricklayer or a block layer, and that's what the indication is here. Because you see in his little hand, he has what is called a builder's maul, and he has a mallet in this hand too. It's too small, I think, for you to see. But what you do is you tap with this builder's maul each brick or block into place, whatever you're laying. And with that being said, you work on all of this being a level foundation. What is a foundation? The number 4, even though this is a number 3. That's amazing, isn't it? Now look at this one. the number 8. We talked about the number 8 yesterday, but 8 is a number of financial stability. It is an infinite number. Do you see how it's written up there? If you turn it this way, it can definitely look like the infinity symbol. This is all about doing everything that you possibly can. You see, this person right here, he's a power player. The red indicates passion, compassion, love, and control, as well as power, but he's done only, look at these little red boots. Hello. But you see there's water there because this is a water element, the cups are. Line them all up, but there's one missing. And that means it's not quite done. They have to move on. In this particular idea, the missing link is the number 9, which is the yes card, the wish come true. I'm going to say whomever sent that ransom note is in this holding period of the number 8 of cups because they can't do much more. They have to move on, and they have to move toward that yes card, which is the ransom. I already know that they're looking into that. Without a proof of life, they're not going to get anything. And I know probably they are threatening some type of physical harm. I've seen that before. And we're not going to go there. This is the 10 of spades. The 10 of spades is equal to the death card in the tarot. It is also considered to be loss. You see this ship, and there's another one behind him here. This ship is all about sailing on choppy waters right now, and I'm going to tell you, these two jokers with this chick that's with them as well is not in a good way. They are not in good, well, I almost said something. They are not on good footing. And the fact that they are not can make them dangerous. I'm just going to tell you, that's the law of the land. They're trying to anchor in. They feel that they've already made arrangements. But you know, this has an implication of water. Remember, we talked about ships, and then there's the water, and now we have a number 9. If this were flowing the way that it should, it would be this way. Because you drop anchor when things get a little rough, perhaps, maybe. In this case, I'm not talking about sailing. But at this point, you see the 3, the 5, and the 3. That's an 8, 9, 10, 11. That's your master builder number. That is a hype. This is the trying to anchor in. And you never know, my friends. They could have done this. They may have wanted to cause a distraction so they could go into another place and get whomever needs to be gotten. Because it's just like everybody picked up and all focus is on Mexico. I've seen that done. You have to create a distraction in order to get, because look, they had the SWAT team out. Everybody's brother, dog, AutoZone worker, grandmother, and pup were waiting to see what was going on. And yes, I appreciate that to a certain degree, but that still interferes with law enforcement, even though you back up. This is the 9 of spades, which tells me that there's a lot of imagination going on right now. And this is an indication that people are trying to curb their imagination. I think I said a bit ago, last night on the call, I couldn't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure I said that after the 18th of February was going to be significant. Today's the 19th, and I do believe it is significant. The number 2 here is also very significant. It denotes working together, and perhaps law enforcement, the FBI and the Sheriff's Department, are going to start seeing eye to eye now and being on the same page, because there's a 4-leaf clover here, which indicates to me luck, even though I don't really believe in luck. I believe in fate. But with this right here and this 6 of diamonds, it points to the diamonds are air element, it's communication. So maybe they're going to have luck with working through this ransom note. Moving on. This is the wannabe. This is the guy that he thinks he wants to be the soldier of fortune. And unfortunately, he's probably a Burger King employee. I'm sorry. No shade on Burger King. Listen, I've been there. No shade on that. But I'm just going to say there is a harvest coming. A harvest. You're going to see it, a harvest coming. Now, this is the other person who, you see here, this indication of they're here. These two, this is the male. This female, we don't know where she is. The counterpart, don't know where she is yet. But this is the guy who is the builder. He's the builder's mall. Now, this celebration, this is a number 10. When you get to the number 10s and cartomancy, or no matter what card it is, you pretty much have to begin again. It means that you're beginning again. There's a celebration here. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a positive celebration in finding her soon. Now, and I always save the cartomancy for last because that's what really tells me most. For those of you who like a long video, well, here you are, my darlings. Here you are. There's the all-seeing, and we talked about today being the sun. And this is a card of constancy, or someone being consistent. Loss. Fidelity. So you see how this card puts on here? So this is the lover boy. Maybe he's going to be caught. But this fidelity is someone who is loyal. You see the little doggy there? That's why he's there. He's the loyal one. But this loss, that bothers me. Give me an indication of where that loss card is going, please. What is that loss card? I hope not. And I have chills. Here's the enemy card. So yeah, they're dealing, they're not equipped. I'm just going to tell you, someone who is a kidnapper who wants to be a big dog is not equipped. They're not equipped to take on an 85 or 84-year-old woman. She just turned 84. Oh, speaking of birthdays, happy birthday to the former prince. I love that you got a set of silver bracelets for your birthday today. Here is this guy right here. And see, it's the same card. The Jack of Diamonds. Now, this is the hidden deck. And in this deck, the royals look a little funky. There's some hidden symbols and everything, and if I come across one, I'll show it to you. Now, you read these a little different than cartomancy, a regular deck. This is this card right here. This is a card of sometimes hurt and bitter and hurt from the past, but it's also a card of resentment. And see, all of these cards are pulling toward resentment, feeling some type of loss. Sorry, I have to just keep going. There are timing cards here that form with money. There is progress and communication. But with these two cards, it looks like they're starting to argue. We've got a lot of indicators here today, don't we? There's the 10 of Spades. Okay. So what this is telling me is confusion, upset, fear. They counted on a financial stability coming. They just thought they were going to be able to come in and go tickety boom, yippee-yi-yay, let's get our Bitcoin and buzz off. But I wonder something. I'm really, here we go. Are you ready for the rabbit hole? Are you ready for the bunny trail? Because I'm going to go down that. What if now hypothetically now, what if I were someone in relation to the family who had a lot of gambling debts? What if something like this was orchestrated and basically said, look, if you want to pay off your gambling debts, this is what we're going to do, but you need to agree to it. And I don't know, if you possibly go out of the country, then they're not going to look at you. Maybe. I don't know. But what if that person that they owned or owed the gambling debt to was the one who came up with the idea with Nancy? What if? What if? Stranger things have happened at sea, my darlings. Because there's some fighting and there's some worrying. And why am I talking about gambling? Well, because of this fellow right here. This 8 of Clubs is all about risk-taking, gambling, money, and the fact that sometimes this is a risk card, but because that it's near the financial stability card, then it becomes the money card, the casino card, the gambling, taking a risk financially card. There's been communication. There is this other air sign. Look at this. A partnership. There's the 4 of diamonds there. I'm sorry, 6 of diamonds there. There's 2. There's a partnership. Wow. Just wow. And look at what happened here. Same suit, same suit. So this means that the perps are now starting to get on the same page because law enforcement are. My opinion about the Pima County Sheriff is that he a lot of it is political. Okay. But this is all confirmation, and look at this. Now, this being out of out of whack. I call it out of whack, but it's not being in succession. Like it should be 5, 6. This should be 7, 8. This should be 7, 8. Even though they're getting on the paint, even though they're getting on the same page, this really means that it won't take much for one to say, it's every man for himself. This female did not show up today. Could they have gotten her? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. This has become definitely a worldwide sideshow, hasn't it? And I'm not saying any of that to hurt anyone, because this is very hurtful for family. But I'm going to say this. If this were my mother, I would be out there, boots on the ground. I don't care how famous or not famous I am. I'd be boots on the ground, baby. I would be out there shoveling. I would be out there digging. I would be out there saying, go plow. Let's go. I'd be talking to people. I understand, you got to leave things to law enforcement, but I'd be out there I'd be scanning the flippin' continent if this were my mother. Here's that childlike new beginning that we saw yesterday. But these, my darlings, and these are supposed to be in pairs, so there we are. We have another clover card here. This is the Thelema Lenormand deck. You read this particular deck in pairs. You know what that is. And another 8. All four 8s. We've got 4 8s here out on the board. Not all 4, but we have 4 8s on the board. More 8. We have more. This is a communication card. This 9 of diamonds and this Lenormand deck means the ability to move on. This 5, biblical numerics is grace. This 8, infinite number, infinity. This can mean family tree. This can mean, will something be picked up through the GGI, the genetic DNA? The 7 of hearts. 7 of hearts is a progress card. It is also fulfillment. So what was there fulfilling? And you see the water reference. So there's trees, there's park, there's this little girl is in a park. And this Jack can be Mr. Wannabe, and look what we have here is the 4. Yes, 1 and 3 is 4. I'm going to leave it at that, my darlings. This has been a long one today. Thanks for being here with me. If you stayed this far, please give me a thumbs up, a 1, a like, a comment, share. Let's see. Prayers for Nancy. And let's find her. I'll see you soon.